They must have, this Adani man must have said, listen, you know Mumegula. There's no way you are leaving me, I'm going empty-handed. If you are taking away JKI, if you are taking away Kentraco, you must leave me with something to hang on. Otherwise, I'm going to spill the beans. Because using the same argument, he should have said, even Chief Shah, out, we want to start afresh.
Okay.
And people are saying this thing is smelling, is stinking.
Yeah.
And he's the one who was pushing it from behind. How even he got in my party boss, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I've not met my party boss to ask him questions. Because people are asking me, just the way they're asking you, they're also asking me, PK, what's happening to your boss? Can you talk to him? So I am here to meet my party boss to ask him, boss, how come you supported this thing? It has left egg on your face. I'll tell my boss. Don't even say these characters are not even worth a thong in Sabina joy. So, you know, Jed, what gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house, this is not Sogoi. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post-Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.
Hello there and welcome to Philip Kisia Unscripted. My name is Jadiel Kabiro. This particular Friday, I'm excited that you join us every single day for these conversations on this platform, conversations that we hope will help our political leaders in making better policy decisions and informed political moves. For Philip Kisia, he says, if the truth shall kill them, let them die. He's a former Nairobi town clerk. He's a leadership and governance expert. He has also been the KICC CEO. Our conversation for today comes from the State of the Nation address delivered by President William Ruto on Thursday. President William Ruto talked about different sectors, various sectors facing challenges. Some, he says, they have improved from healthcare to governance to economy to anti-corruption efforts that they are taking, that they are making. It's always a pleasure to have you, Philip. Great to see you today. How are you doing this particular week? How have you been?
God is great.
Yeah?
God is great.
God has been good.
It took God's intervention to bring Sakaja down. It's only God. Can you imagine, after defending Adani for all those months, you know, they were doing it in secrecy, this thing. And I don't know how they were able to convince my party boss to join them in the chorus. They did secrecy, then it was blown up. You know, they wanted to catch us unawares, but it blew up. And he sustained the effort to see this thing going through. Of course, you know, we have no parliament. I've told you before, it's a castrated parliament. But God, the Almighty, intervened. And it, you know, he spoke to the Americans. And he told the Americans, please release this information now. Because with this information, Sakaja will come down. So the Americans, we thank you. FBI, we thank you. We are looking forward to Trump coming through.
You're saying that it's God's intervention.
It's only God's intervention. The man was hell-bent.
Last week we started taking a look at what you've been reflecting on. I asked you to reflect on something and share with us. What are your reflections for this week?
Jed, there's a lot that I've been reflecting on, but because of time, you know, because you normally Kisia me, you know. You don't give me sufficient time. I want a full game of 90 minutes. You do a 6 aside. 45 minutes.
Give me enough time.
Let me tell you, Jed.
Yes.
Some of my moments of reflection this week and my highlights. The first one that really shocked me, even during Moi's time, Arap Moi, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. Mzee Moi, we never saw this nation being turned into a police state. The amount of police officers that were deployed, you know, the ammunition, machinery, transport, you would have thought that these fellows have a clue, they have a hint that we are about to face attack from Al-Shabaab. I didn't know that our Gen Z is just, communicating on WhatsApp and what have you, can scare the entire system. Because later on, I really wanted to understand why heavy deployment. Because even before, even when Nyayo became so unpopular in his later years in his rulership, he would never deploy state machinery to that level. We would still see children coming to sing for him in parliament. We will see people coming there to receive him, some to jeer him. But we never saw the whole CBD being condoned off. So that the president was only addressing MPs and police officers. Some in uniform, some not in uniform. So it was not a state of address. Yeah. It was an address to parliamentarians and security agencies.
We are calling MPs.
That is what Kenyans are calling them. It is not me. I've only picked a cue from Kenyans. Okay. So I was asking myself, why would somebody who has been democratically elected be so fearful of the people he's governing? Why? What has happened in 24 months? I was wondering, I was asking myself and reflecting and say, why spend so much resources in securing a small group of people? Okay? Then it means there is indeed a problem. Because when you see those in rulership insulating themselves from their own people, running away from their own people, and yet they still want to imagine and convince the world that they're still popular. They are so unpopular. And that is why you could see that heavy police presence. But anyway, as days go by, they are now exposing themselves without much effort. And we thank them. And actually, it is God actually speaking, Jed.
Again.
It is God speaking. It is God's work. It is not your work. Let us not give ourselves credit. It is God disorganizing them. And soon, I'm telling you, Jed, hile fimbo hawa watu watakula, it will take them to hell very soon.
Let's not praise ourselves, but there's someone who told me to tell you thank you because of what you've been saying here.
What have I said?
You've been saying Adani must go. You've been saying this deal. You actually told me I'll be 70 once when they leave.
Yes. Some of us were a bit loud.
Yeah, like that.
Okay? But all Kenyans were against this thing. Even the courts pronounced themselves. So we are happy. And it's not one person's effort. It is all of us, including you, who was interviewing me. Okay? So as you praise me, as you appreciate me, let us appreciate all Kenyans, because 57 million Kenyans were against this bloody thing called Adani. Right. The second highlight, Jed, is this thing of Haiti. You remember my friend Ekuru Aukot, Kabando, myself, we even petitioned the United Nations. We even wrote to President Biden. We wrote him a letter. But the man refused to listen to us. Okay? But you see now what is coming up. Again, it is God's work. Jed, do you know there's a God in heaven?
Yeah.
It is God's. Do you know what, Jed?
Yeah.
We were not expecting this to happen. People were expecting the Democrats to win under Camilla. And then, of course, no change would have happened. These our boys who have been sent to Haiti as human sacrifices will still be there.
Yeah.
But you know what Trump has said is that he does not want that nonsense.
Yeah.
He said that's rubbish. And I'm beginning to like this man called Trump.
Yeah.
You know why? He seems to have policies which are realistic. Because he's asking simple questions. He's asking, why are Americans spending resources on Haiti? If it is because that Haiti has resources that we want, we can negotiate with them on how to explore those resources, and we have a win-win situation. But the guys were there, and we thought that the Democrats are democratic. But we're discovering that they're not. Because why would a country spend billions of shillings, dollars, to secure a few people? But what is absurd, what was very absurd, is the fact that even after the Kenyans had said no to this mission, because all Kenyans have said no,
Yeah.
even after the courts had pronounced themselves and said this thing is unconstitutional, President William Ruto, my very good friend, still decided that using kifua, just using force, he didn't care about anybody. He didn't care about the youth that were being taken. He didn't care about our feelings. He didn't care about anything. Now, we have now been told by the CS for Finance that the government has indeed spent 2.1 billion shillings, taxpayers' money. Who approved? Who gave Treasury authority to withdraw 2.1 billion to use it on this operation? When we were told by the president himself,
Yes.
not by me. You keep on saying that I say bad things.
Yeah.
No, it is not my statement. The president himself said it's fully funded.
Yeah.
100 billion. This money is coming to us.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't know he was talking about hot air. Because now, Treasury, without shame, are asking for another 17 billion for this mission. Which means that they want to spend 19 billion Kenya shillings, taxpayers' money, on a mission that does not concern us, on a mission that will not benefit Kenya, on a mission that is benefiting a few people, just to prove that they're the big boys in Africa. So, what I'm saying, Jed,
Yes.
if Parliament, or if, in fact, shame on you, Mr. Badi, shame on you. I thought you people, we were sending you as experts to do the right thing. You are now coming to Parliament to ask them to approve 17 billion, yet we cannot pay teachers, university teachers, they will strike. We cannot pay medical interns. We cannot feed our people. We cannot build our roads. We cannot pay counties money. We can't transform into counties. We are even reducing their budgets. We cannot even provide medical facilities. We cannot stock them with drugs. We cannot take care of Kenyans. And we want to spend 19 billion shillings that we don't have. That must, this Parliament, for whatever little is left of them, they must say no to this particular request. Now, in closing that, Jed, this mission, that in Haiti, that was being pushed so hard without considering the feelings, the families and what have you, it is where it is. President Trump has made it very clear he has no business giving money, American money, taxpayers' money on that mission. The Russians have said you can go to hell. China has said you can go to hell. Okay? They said go to hell. Go to hell. We don't know their nonsense. What nonsense are you coming up with here with? We don't want to listen to you. What moral authority do we have to continue having our boys there? They must be returned next week. If Ruto cares for our people, for our boys, for our youth, he must return them because they have no business being there. The third one and the final one, again on Adani. You know, when I saw Parliament applauding the president because of cancelling this Adani thing, which was criminal from the word go, which was corrupt, riddled corruption from the word go. Everything about this Adani thing was criminal, it was corrupt to the core. And I saw adults in Parliament, adults, some of them are grandfathers like me, applauding the president. And I asked, and my little children, your friend Ethan, 14, and my daughter, my sweet daughter, Ivana, 12, they were asking me, what is going on here, Daddy? Why are they applauding? For what? What good has he said? Because, there are simple questions to ask the president. When you are approving this Adani thing, some of us who have served in government, we know that a project of that magnitude, Jed, must have NIS involvement. Must. The due diligence we're talking about must involve NIS.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, I have asked a question that nobody's answering me. Was our NIS involved in this thing, due diligence? If they were, what sort of advice did they give? Or are they suggesting or confirming what Rigathi said, that our NIS is incompetent? But from what I know, our NIS is one of the best you can have in Africa. So I can only blame the leadership of Kenya Kwanza. Number two, in his own state of nation address, he's saying, you know, based on Article 10, principle of accountability and transparency, okay, that now that I have received credible and sufficient information, it took Americans. Now, remember that this statement was not prepared yesterday. There's no way, because the way government works, a state address, from what I know, even in any country, even a useless country, okay, it's not a useless country, but in any small country, I'll not mention names, you get information from agencies, from relevant ministries, you get information. You collect, you put them together, that information, then you start preparing this state of address. It can take even a week or two preparing. A week or two. Now, it looks like, you know, this government is full of witch doctors and night runners. They prepare their documents at night. The Americans, yesterday night, the Americans, they are the ones who said, this man is a criminal. Actually, there's a warrant of arrest.
Yeah.
When did the president now amend his speech to accommodate this new and credible information? At what time? At what time? This is something that was done yesterday, because it was embarrassing for him to go there and not talk about it. So the question is, if this Adani is corrupt and criminal, he has said cancel Kentraco, that where they had already signed.
Yes.
Cancel JKIA, where they were in the process of signing, even when people were saying no.
They're saying it was in the process of due diligence.
What due diligence?
That's yes,
what due diligence are they talking about? They were about to sign this thing. We are not stupid. And they should not take us for fools. They were about to sign it. If indeed William Ruto is serious about corruption that he talked about in his state of address, is this saying that Chief Shah is exempt from Article 10? Because we're dealing with the same Adani? Or is this Adani of Homa Bay? Is it the same Adani of India that we're dealing with?
Yeah.
That he has Chief Shah? Is it the same Adani where we are buying a system from me for 104 billion? I can tell you, I suspect what were Megula. What were Megula? And that is why this Adani, and I suspect, Jed, you know, I know how these people operate. They must have, this Adani man must have said, listen, you know Mumegula, there is no way you are leaving me, I'm going empty-handed. If you are taking away JKI, if you are taking away Kentraco, you must leave me with something to hang on. Otherwise, I'm going to spill the beans. Because using the same argument, he should have said, even Chief Shah, out, we want to start afresh.
Okay.
But anyway, you can understand why. But what really, as we close that, reflection, what is disturbing is that as ODM, a party that is respected, the biggest political movement in Kenya, my party leader donated 4 experts, 4, in this government. This is it broad-based or bread-based?
It's broad, but
it's broad.
Kalonzo calls it bread.
It's bread. My friend Echi Kalonzo is right. It's bread. because they're only feeding on bread. That's why you can see them. They're saying, when they say there is economic growth, the growth is above the West. So we thought that we took them there so that we can have a transformation. We can have some change, positive change. We can deal with the issue of corruption. We can improve on efficiency of government. Okay? But we didn't know we are sending them there for comic relief. When I saw my friend Opio one day, I said, my God, such an intelligent man, what has happened to him? What has happened to Wadani? Then I asked myself, I thought my party boss, Raila Amolo Odinga, who is respected in Africa, now people are telling me he's not respected. Were we sending them to, in fact, blow up the buffoonery tendencies that we have been seeing? I thought we were, you know, there's many years ago when I was in secondary school, Form 1, there was a teacher of mine, an English teacher, who was called Okila. I think, may God rest his soul in entire peace. He said, you are too idiotic, more than the idiosyncrasy itself. That is what I saw, idiocy. That is what I saw. So when I saw that, I remembered my good friend, Okila, my English teacher. He taught me literature and English.
Talk a little bit about CS Opio and I, and also about the ministers who are now in government from ODM side. Do they really have the power? But we want to start from what you've actually talked about when it comes to the State of the Nation address, Adani deal. The president giving a directive cancelling these deals in Kentraco and JKIA deal. But from where I'm sitting, I just have a question with regards to corruption in the country, because he says we are going to deal with corruption. He actually talked about the conflict of interest deal, which we'll also talk about later on. But before we talk about why he cancelled the deal, let's watch reports from America with regards to Gautam Adani's corruption cases.
This involves Indian billionaire Gautam Adani and 7 other senior executives indicted by the Justice Department in connection with a scheme to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in bribes to Indian government officials to access solar energy contracts and efforts to conceal bribery schemes from U.S. investors. Now, keep in mind these fraud accusations were first came to light from short seller Hindenburg Research, which sent the stock in a free fall. Since then, it has rebounded, and we're watching Adani Enterprises here in overtime, but clearly a stock we're watching closely. Back to you.
Kisia, these are allegations that the president used to cancel the deal from JKIA to Kentraco, citing credible evidence of corruptions. Now, what I want to know, what potential risks come from the president cancelling these deals and the benefits maybe that the country will have, but also talk to me about the president's fight for corruption. Is this serious? Do you think he's serious when it comes to dealing with it?
You know, Jed, yesterday I didn't have an opportunity to watch His Excellency the President give a state of address. I really would have loved to watch that. So I'm looking for that, state of address. Okay? Oh, it is here. He talks about rapid change, that we have undergone rapid change. In other words, we have transformation. He talked about, a leadership that is keeping pace with the aspirations of the Kenyan people. Okay? He then, of course, admits his own admission that Kenyans are going through a lot of pain. His own admission. Kenyans are going through
a lot of pain.
A lot of pain. Okay? Hardship. To quote him, pain, hardship. And Kenyans are struggling. I must thank the president for being honest. So also people give him credit. Give the president credit. Give my friend credit. That he has taken cognizance of the fact that people are in pain, people are struggling, people are going through hardship. But then I quickly remember, if His Excellency, the president, recognizes that people are going through bad times, the same president, my very good friend, approves a budget of 1 billion shillings just to renovate State House. And yet his people are going through pain, they are struggling, they are going through hardship. Then I asked myself, was the president mocking Kenyans? Of course, he talks about some of the macroeconomic interventions that he has made and some of the successes that he has recorded. Okay? He talks about the dollar dropping from 162 to 129. Fact. He talks about borrowing, that the previous government regime, which he was part of, was reckless. And he has been sent by Mother Mary to Kenya to save Kenyans. Okay? He has been sent to save us. By the time Kenyatta was leaving office, and he was there for 10 years, 2 terms, that our exposure to debt was a 7 trillion borrowing. Now, my good friend, the president, and he's saying he's an astute manager. Within 24 months, we are heading to 4 trillion. He has borrowed 4 trillion within 24 months. So, using the same, if you extrapolate these figures, by the time he's done with his first term, if he finishes his first term, he will have borrowed more than Uhuru did in 10 years. Using the same figures. Then he says that the economy is doing so well that our reserves have shifted from $7 billion to $9.5 billion. Fact. Okay? But he does not tell us that he has postponed debt to the future. You know, that debt, we must pay it in the near future. He has postponed. So the pressure on the dollar is not there. There's no pressure on government. Government doesn't have that pressure to pay. But we must pay. He does not tell us that even as we sit pretty, that even the money he borrowed to refinance a debt, we borrowed at 5%, he has borrowed at more than 10%. He's not telling us that one. Okay? Then he is talking about the macroeconomic success. How can that be when counties, you know, when you look at the Consolidated Fund and you look at the Finance Act, which is the Constitution, when we collect taxes, the first charge is what? Is to pay loans.
Yeah.
Clear with the loans. Lipa madeni kwanza. Lipa madeni. The second one is what? Pay counties.
Oh.
Transfer money to counties. Okay? Isn't that the case? But has he done that? No. The counties are starving. The counties have no money. Okay? If indeed the economy is doing well, how come this government has mopped out all the money from the banks? They are borrowing money at 18%. They are borrowing the money. Mwananchi has no money to borrow. We have no money to borrow. And the few of us who are lucky to borrow, we are being slammed 28%. Okay? If indeed this economy and government was doing well, how come they are not remitting money for pension funds? He talked about coffee doing well. I've told you, Jed, my wife is a coffee farmer. We are not seeing the figures he's talking about. And I've spoken to so many farmers. They are not seeing the figures he's talking. Maybe these figures, we start seeing them after they implement the Gachagua reforms. Maybe at that time. He's talked about milk production going up. This is not true. He talks about maize. It's not true. So he's saying that we are self-sufficient even in sugar production, which is not true. And we've looked at these figures, Jed. Okay? He talked about education. Yeah? Yet we know that the education, university system funding system has completely failed. Children have not reported to school. He talked about health. We know that our people are dying. Are dying because this thing is not working. People are dying, Jed. But we've been told these are teething problems.
Yeah.
They're just teething.
They're just teething.
Just a teething. And they're so casual about it. And it's so annoying when people talk about teething problems when we are losing life. Are they telling us that they remove those people from the graves after the teething problems are over? Are they telling us that that is what they will do, Jed?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot I can tell you, Jed. But let me end there by saying and telling my president and my good friend, my president and my good friend, that people cannot eat macroeconomic changes. They cannot eat. People need food. People need shelter. People need money in their pockets. Our youth need jobs. People need working health facilities. Don't talk about macro economic success because of your interventions when the basics have not been dealt with. Deal with the basics, for heaven's sake. As you deal with the bigger picture, the macroeconomics, deal with issues that are affecting Mwananchi now. Because if you leave them to die, they may not even they may not even be there to celebrate your macroeconomic success. And even the families who are left, they will be left in pain.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage my president to focus on dealing with issues that are affecting Mwananchi and to deal with them fast. Because talking about Kizungu Mingi in this statement of his, and people are going hungry and people are in pain because he has admitted people are in pain and are angry and hungry, and they are going through hardship, and you are talking about macroeconomic success. Hiyo ni bure kabisa.
Talk to me about
that is bure.
Corruption now.
That is bure, useless.
On corruption,
that is bure.
This is where he gave the directive on Adani deal. Do you sense some sense of seriousness when it comes to dealing with corruption now that Adani is out?
You see now, Jed, you know you are a very clever young man. And you must be able to read people. Making a mere statement does not confirm that somebody has intention of fighting corruption. You fight corruption by institutionalizing your reforms. We want to see the DPP left to be independent. He mentioned DPP in his statement, and he said that he is shocked that the DPP is allowing people to go scot-free. He's allowing people to go scot-free. He's shocked that people are not being prosecuted. Do you want to tell me that the DPP will release all these people who have been charged by corruption? His predecessor signed off the form, the charge, because by the time it's landing in court, ESCC have gone through, or DCI, DPP has approved, and then you come into the office and start withdrawing the cases. Are you now saying that your predecessor was a useless fellow? That he did not know what he was doing? Are you saying all the institutions that are in place consuming public funds do not know what they are doing? That they are useless and incompetent? And you have come and you have realized that these charges were fake. And if that is the case, because President William Ruto is running this government from State House, how come he has not summoned the DPP to ask him questions? Why must it come through an address? These are issues that can be dealt with administratively. We don't want to know. Why is he lamenting? Okay? So I would only believe the president that he's serious in fighting corruption when he empowers the agencies that have been mandated by the Constitution to fight corruption. I would only believe William Ruto that he is actually serious about fighting corruption when he enables the judiciary through a budget provision and stop interfering and stop intimidating judiciary and allow them to do their job and their work, only then will I believe that William Ruto is serious with fighting corruption. Otherwise, all the things they talk about corruption is hot air. And hot air, why? Because Adani was there. And people are saying this thing is smelling, is stinking.
Yeah.
And he's the one who was pushing it from behind. How even he got in my party boss, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I've not met my party boss to ask him questions. Because people are asking me. Just the way they're asking you. They're also asking me. PK, what's happening to your boss? Can you talk to him? So I am here to meet my party boss to ask him, boss, how come you supported this thing? It has left egg on your face. I'll tell my boss. Because he has had a very good career. He has fought for this country. He does not need to hold somebody or to support a regime that is not operating within the constitution and doing things that are completely wrong.
Let me play Opio Wandai's video right before the president made the State of the Nation address.
Would these emerging reports in any way affect the delivery of this project? We can't tell. Why? Because they are not related to this project. We can't even vote for their veracity from where we sit. And therefore we'll be engaging in speculation, Honorable Chair. The second limb of that question is, could these bribery or corruption claims have a bearing on our own process? To my knowledge, Honorable Chair, there has been no case of corruption or bribery insofar as this PIP of Adani Energy Solutions is concerned.
This is Opio Wandai saying that the allegations or the warrant of arrest that has been issued in the US will not affect the dealings with Adani. A few hours later, maybe 2 or 3, the president comes, cancels the deal. What do you think about this directive by the president when it comes to autonomy of these CSs making decisions in their respective ministries?
The president has confirmed my worst fears. He has confirmed my worst fears. That he is running the government alone. How can your CS, in charge of a docket, issue a policy statement, issue direction on a matter, okay, as weighty as Adani, where the ministry has signed a contract of 94 billion. 94 billion is not pocket change. And he actually rubbishes the US court system that has said that we have discovered, we have evidence, we are convicting this man, he is a criminal, he must be here, there is a warrant of arrest. And we have some CS in Kenya, called Opio Wandai, telling us that this thing must proceed because it is as clean and as white as a peeled potato. I looked at Opio and I was in shock. I was actually in utter shock. I was in utter shock, my friend. How can you doubt FBI? How can you doubt the American system? How can you doubt the court? They have done your work. They have made your work so easy. I would have expected Opio to advise the president, say, you know, Mr. President, on this one, let us not be left with the egg on our face. Let us save our faces by coming out to admit there was a mistake done, that the due diligence done was not even worth wrapping meat, leave alone using it in the toilet. That is what Opio should have told the president. But he came there banging the table with papers like this, saying this thing must go on, this thing is very good. And I was wondering. I was just wondering. You know, I must be a little bit kind to these people. I don't want to be like my friend Ekuru. You know, Ekuru is my friend.
Yes.
And he said, watu wamegula. Watu wamegula. And he has evidence. A little bird has whispered to him that the bells you are seeing the motor vehicles you are seeing,
Yeah.
the change in lifestyle, the money abroad is from this Adani thing.
Yeah.
That's what my friend Okota said. And my friend Don is more dramatic. Don is saying these characters
Yeah.
are not even worth a thong in Sabina joy. So, you know, Jed,
Yeah.
fighting corruption,
Yeah.
you don't make mere statements. You don't, you know, and people can read it through you. You can read. If you don't have a history of fighting corruption, even for once pretend, and pretend in a good way that you are honest. But when people are just see dishonest in you, they are seeing, they can read your mind. They can see this man is just trying to hoodwink us. You know, he doesn't mean anything. Because, you see, when all the characters around you are corrupt,
Yeah.
and a friend of mine who knew that I was coming to talk to you today
Yeah.
told me, you know, PK, do you remember the Kapenguria 6? Do you remember I said, of course I remember. I'm old enough to know Kapenguria 6. Yeah. I want you to do some analysis. Because you normally analyze. And find out whether there's an Adani 6. Do you know, I've analyzed very carefully. And I've discovered that these same fellows who are saying we're going to fight corruption, there is a group of fellows who Kenyans have now put a spotlight. They are the Adani 6. So whereas Kapenguria 6 fought for our independence,
Yes.
they did good things and we remember them. This Adani 6 will remember them for trying to take us in a hole.
But you're not going to give me the names.
For now, no, for now. But we'll smoke them out very soon.
We'll smoke them out.
We're going to smoke them, man.
The president comes and speaks about the conflict of interest bill. Immediately he says he wonders why parliament has not passed it yet. Parliamentarians burst out laughing. And he says this bill aims to impose strict sanctions on government officials exploiting their positions for personal gain and to ensure a clear separation between public duties and private interests. From where you sit, Kisia, how effective is this bill likely to be in combating this systemic corruption in Kenya that we see every single day, and what specific provisions must be included when it comes to fighting corruption within people in government?
Smoke screen, man. Smoke screen. You see, I think we've talked a lot about corruption.
Yeah,
Okay, they are now talking about a bill.
yeah,
Okay? Conflict of interest bill. They should stop wasting our time. It's a waste of time. They need to take action fast. And I don't want to belabor this point. There are so many corruption cases in court that have been withdrawn. There are so many people, right from the top, Jed, from the top, are doing business with the government. It is not a secret that this hotel where the president has an interest is doing business with government. The Auditor General smoked it out.
yeah.
It is not me. Is it me, Jed? Is it me?
They're doing business.
They're saying they're doing business with government. And they're actually the top, that they are being given priority when it comes to business. And don't forget, they are not a five-star. But they seem to be getting business. So you see, even before you talk about the bill, do you need a bill as a person at the top to stop doing business with government? Do you need a bill?
No.
No, you don't need a bill. You just need to be forthright. You just need to be an honest person. You just need to be somebody with integrity and say, you know what? I will do what is right for this country. I will start at the top. I will start living by example. Me, as William Ruto. Okay? So call all your family members. Call all of them. Call yourself into a family room and say, you know what? Before I start dealing with other people, we must clean up our house. Okay? So the conflict of interest bill is okay. It can be passed. But if there's no willingness, to deal with these issues, they'll still be there. Don't forget we live in this country. Even if that thing is brought,
Yeah.
even that bill becomes an act of parliament later on, they'll still find a way of going around it and doing business through what? Third parties,
Okay.
through proxies. We are aware and we know.
Talk to me about healthcare. President comes out, talks about Taifa Care. Kenyans did not know SHIF would be called Taifa Care. He says 15 million Kenyans have enrolled, 60% of employers have transitioned into Taifa Care. I want to know, how can government address the shortcomings? You said teething problems that we're having in healthcare, but people are dying. Is there a way to deal with it? Because Kenyans were asking, why did we even transition from NHIF in the first place?
You know, first of all, let me say, Jed, let us not be overcritical about everything that William Ruto attempts to do. Okay? So the idea of having everybody covered is a good idea. I personally support it. Because nobody should suffer because they don't have money. Nobody should not be covered because health should be the #1 priority of any nation. The problem we are having with this chief share is the manner in which it has been rolled out. Okay? They appear to have had other interests other than dealing with the objective of covering all Kenyans. Just look at it the other day. We have not even finished dealing with this thing of 104 billion for a system. We have not even finished dealing with that one.
Yeah.
That they are spending 104 billion on a system. I've told you before, Jed, banks spend $2-3 million on a system. These characters are spending almost $90 million. 104 billion shillings. Do you know how much that money can do? Yet there was a system that could have been upgraded in NHIF. Okay? So of course, we are not stupid. The intention was to siphon 104 billion from this system using this Adani fellow. So good intentions, you know, the bigger picture. But you can now see that the undercurrencies are taking us to believe or making us believe that the intentions were very bad. They are not noble. So we've not even settled that matter. We are asking him, send this Adani man home, even on this healthcare system. But he's hanging on that one. He has been told you hang on this one. Because probably I said, I'll expose you.
Do you think that could be the case?
I'll expose you. Mumegula. Mumegula. If you don't allow me to hang on this one, nitasema, nitatoboa. So probably in the room you're telling, nitoboe. Leave me with this one. They say, oh, no, you know, bwana. Okay, you know. So there seem to have been some negotiations.
Why do you think?
Now the other thing, Jed, they have now spent millions of shillings. Now, you know, I don't know who is advising my friend, William, President, to rebrand. Why can they? And this country has some of the most renowned marketers who know what branding is all about. Branding should not be used to steal money. They have just changed something, a tagline. Then they are saying we're rebranding, doing some funny things. I don't know how, and they're not telling us how much money, public money has been spent. They do some funny things. Let me tell them, as a marketer, I'm a fellow of marketing. I'm a fellow. Branding is not changing of color or changing taglines or changing the name. It goes beyond that one. Okay? So, and we're not short of good marketers in this country. In fact, there are younger marketers who have come who can do a very good job for this government. Brilliant young men who can do it. Okay? So look, from one bad thing to another bad thing. Then, if this share thing is a good thing, if it's a good thing, and the president means well, okay, I want to see the president receiving treatment at Kenyatta Hospital. I want the president to lead by example. He must be the first one to be treated at Kenyatta National Hospital. Or even go to Bagadi. I want to see his children giving birth at Pumwani Maternity, where I was born. In 1963, 20th, in the morning, January.
In the morning.
My mother kept records, and there are records at my mother. Yeah. I want to see his children, because his children are now, I'm sure producing grandchildren for him. Yeah. I want to see those children going to that Pumwani maternity. Because the system is working. I want to see all these characters. Parliamentarians and what have you, they're enjoying beautiful insurance covers, beautiful things, running into millions of shillings. When our fellow Kenyans, they are going to health facilities, dying in the health facilities, when there's nothing going on. So we have 1% of Kenyans enjoying, and then they want us to tell us that everything is good, that everything is working. If these things are working, Jed, Kenyans will not even talk about it. If these things are working, Kenyans will not complain. You think Kenyans are stupid? You think Kenyans have nothing to do but just to complain? They are complaining because, as the president said, they are hurting and struggling. As the president said.
Yes.
Not you, not me.
What's your advice to the president when it comes to, you've talked about microeconomics, when it comes to
macroeconomics that he's dealing with.
What is your advice to him when it comes to all these things they're trying to tell Kenyans they're doing, yet the economy is not reflecting on people's pockets?
You see, it is very simple, Jed. He says he's dealing with a bigger picture, which is okay. But people cannot eat that bigger picture. People want things now, especially when it is for their own survival. So long as you are doing things, you're taking measures that will reduce the pain and sell hope, sell the future, sell the bigger things, people will buy into your story. But so long as they're in severe pain, they're hurting and struggling, they're almost dying, even that story, the long-term thing you're talking about, microeconomics, will not make any sense to them. It does not make sense to tell us now a dollar, it was 170, now it's 129. That does not make sense to Mwananchi. Mwananchi want to have some money. They don't even want dollars. They just want Kenya shillings in their pockets to be able to buy food, to go to hospital, to pay school fees, to pay transport, to clothe. Christmas is around the corner. How are Kenyans even looking forward to Christmas? In fact, the mood is so dark. For the first time since I was born, Jed, and I've been along, this is my 7th decade. 7th decade on earth. I am telling you, I have never seen a dull moment like 2024. And if this is going to be what Kenyans should look for, I doubt whether they will have a Kenya in 2025, 26, 27. Have you heard of the mood? We are already Christmas. People, by now, you see a lot of activity going on. The Christmas mood will be setting in by now. Jingle bells and what have you. Go to supermarkets and you'll see the mood. So, you've asked me, what can the president do? We have told him several times. Badi himself admitted. He said, if they can just reduce corruption, it is them who are in government, it's not us. They're saying, Badi himself, the CS of money, of finance. He said, if this government can reduce corruption just by 50%, he has 400 billion. And 400 billion, he does not even need to borrow, which is true. But I can tell him, it is not even They can easily, because from their own figure they gave us, which is on record, they say that we're losing 3 billion. So even if they can steal 1 billion, let them continue stealing 1 billion, because they're stealing. They have admitted. They just spare us the 2 billion. We'll have almost 700 billion shillings to take care of all these things, shift shand, what have you, and fix our roads, and what have you, and pay our loans. So we don't need magic. We don't need magic. We just need to deal with issues to do with the governance, leadership, and of course, those two ones, we tackle them. We have an efficient and effective system that we are following the laid down procedures and policies. Okay? We shall cure the problem we are having.
All right.
That is in short term. But in long term, the president must make sure that the economy and this economy is conducive for investment, both local investment and foreign direct investment. Because this economy, this government, the way it's working, we have seen in the last 2 years how many companies have closed down. Many companies are closing down. It's a bad sign. So when you're saying that the economy is doing well, you know private investors, be they local or international, they will not run away from an economy that is functioning. They are not stupid. They're investors. When you see them running away, they're telling you there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something wrong with the Kenya Kwanza government. And that is why companies are shutting down. That is why even locals cannot do business. That is why we are borrowing money at 28%. This economy is about to collapse. Nothing is working.
Economy is about to collapse. Nothing is working. That is Philip Kisia for you. Thanks for tuning into this conversation, a conversation on Philip Kisia Unscripted, where he says the truth as it is. But just as always, you told me not to say final word or final remarks, Kisia.
Jed, I know it's a Friday, and I'm looking forward to this Friday because God has been graceful, and He is always graceful. He has intervened in so many cases. On this Haiti matter, you can see God has intervened. On Adani thing, God has intervened. So we must praise God. I must thank, and I hope you'll go to church on Sunday. But look for this video on the arrest of Kisia, Dr. Kisia.
BCJ.
BCJ. There's a lady who was making some remarks. Yeah. And I said, what the hell is going on here?
We are not surprised, and anybody who is surprised is a fool. Because you cannot expect Bushmen to deliver democracy. It's like you cook beans and deliver beef. It's not possible.
As members closer to Doctor, have you learnt about this today, or you had information in that regard earlier as we move towards the court martial?
You see, all you hear, all that is brought to your attention is not communicated. So we've been privy to some of the things that were going on, but we had not set the link. And it is Kenya again. Because when you have a rogue government in Kenya, then you're in trouble to have two rogue governments working hand in hand. The people of Kenya and the people of East Africa are in trouble because Kenya government, that rogue government, has surrendered its security to Uganda. And so Kenya is going to pay the price, like Ugandans will pay the price, and all people who go to Kenya as tourists.
Thank you.
Please, take it seriously. You have a rogue government, rogue in Kenya.
She's saying two rogue governments are working together, Kenya and Uganda. What is your take?
Boy, oh boy. I almost fell down. I almost hid. I was looking for somewhere to hide.
Yeah.
Because that lady has spoken, and if I were the president, I would really think twice. Because even the manner in which this Dr. Kisia was arrested, I mean, even following our own constitution, our own laws, the African laws, international laws, they forbid to have somebody arrested in that manner. The Minister for Communication in Uganda said, Bwana, we worked with they collaborated. They are the ones who arrested. They facilitated the arrest. This lady has made some very, very serious statements, Jed. she has said that we are dealing with a rogue government. Both of them are rogue. That you cannot expect dictators to bring any meaningful change. That you see, they say you cannot cook beans and expect to eat beef. These words, Jed, are so loaded. And she ends up by calling them Bushmen. Bushmen don't believe in democracy.
Yeah.
You know, this lady is calling my president a Bushman.
Yeah.
I almost punched. I was looking at it from this. I almost punched that screen and said, "Don't call my president a Bushman." But, I told myself, she could be right. She could be right. Finally, Jed, our brothers in South Sudan, they seem to be going through some challenges. I hope the issue doesn't escalate. They just got independence. I think they're one of the youngest independent countries in Africa. We would want them to be stable. I hope that President Salva Kiir Madiyat is safe, and that they can sit down and reason together. Because my fear is that if the war escalates, it will affect us here. And again, my president may be tempted to say that let me send forces there to rescue our neighbor. We don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen because we have our own problems here in Kenya.
Yeah.
And there are so many we cannot surmount.
Okay.
So please, brothers and sisters in South Sudan, if you are hearing me, please stop this nonsense.
But Ruto is a generous giver. He will give them as
you start by giving your children. God cannot forgive you, Jed. Your children are starving, and you are going to the neighbors. It's shameful to go to the neighbors' children and feed your neighbors' children, and yet your children are starving. They are walking around with tatters, and their behinds are showing. You can't even clothe them properly. Come on, be serious, Jed.
Thanks for tuning into that conversation. Philip Kisia is unscripted, all about the state of the nation addressed by President William Ruto. He says it as he says it. Thanks for tuning in. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day. Share this video with as many people as possible so that we reach Kenyans, we reach our leaders for better policy decisions and political moves.
What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house. This is not Sogoi. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.